This next portion of Death Mountain is probably the most difficult part of Death Mountain, as there are numerous Daira as well as numerous other types of enemies. Right off the bat, there's a red Daira on the first screen. I got by him without actually getting hit, thankfully. There's also a few red eggs here. I just killed some louders as well. And remember, with these things, if they reach the ground, they turn into these like fire-breathing dragons, and they'll shoot fire, which is unblockable, so you'll have to jump over it. On the next screen here, we have a couple Megmats, followed by an orange Daira. And you should be getting used to these guys, and they only take 3 hits to kill with a level 4 sword. So hopefully you've upgraded to that point, or at least close to that point. And you could actually head down that elevator. Just continuing to the right just kills those extra louders plus these 3 Octoroks. And it's basically free experience points. You want to try to level up as much as you can while you're in these rather simple areas, because later on in the game they get rather difficult. You can head to the west here, and this is only for extra experience points pretty much. There's a red jar at the very end of this section, but it's really not worth it if you're just going for the red jar. It's mainly for the experience points. There's a red Daira here, and it's pretty much kicking my butt. There's also these new enemies on the ground, which are known as Myu. M-Y-U. I don't really know how that's pronounced. But you cannot really kill them if they're below you. You need the downward thrust, and we will be getting that shortly actually, but up until now, if they're below you, you can't kill them. So just jump over them and just continue along. Head back to the elevator, and now we can head to the east. We will run into yet another red Daira. This one is just like before. This one is just, for whatever reason, is tossing these axes like very frequently, and I had to use my life spell. I was almost about to lose a life there. So I chose not to upgrade here, as I want to wait until I get the next. Well, I suppose I could have upgraded, but I continued to the east here, and there's these open pits where you can actually fall into the lava. So just be careful. There's a Mew on one of the ledges. Make sure you're not too aggressive. Let it jump off the cliff and then continue along. This next room has a couple Dairas, so it's a good idea to use the shield spell if you'd like. I defeated the orange Daira there, and now here is a red Daira. And as you can see, as the game goes on, I get much better at fighting these Dairas, as should you. But at the end of the screen, I get the hammer. And basically what this hammer will do is it will allow you to smash blocks while in the overworld. And unlike like the original Legend of Zelda or any of the following Legend of Zelda titles after The Adventure of Link, none of these items are really equipable. They're just sort of auto-equipped while you are in the overworld. Now you just simply need to run over to a rock, and you press the button, and it breaks the rock. And we will be using this right now, pretty much, actually. First, we have to backtrack outside this cave. Thankfully, just about all the enemies are gone, except these aches reappear for whatever reason. Just defeat them just like you've done. They shouldn't be too much of a problem for you. And now we can finally exit the cave. Once you exit the cave, there's a block just to your left. Smash it with the hammer, drop down, and look what we got here. Another magic container, the second one. And now this brings our total magic meter up until 6 full containers. So that's good. We can now exit to this cave all the way on the right, and you can quickly run through this one. There's a few lava pits and there's several Octoroks. Be careful, because sometimes those Octoroks, they'll shoot a rock, it'll hit you, and this will cause you to fall into the lava. So I just upgraded my life meter now, so I'm now at level 4, 3, and 4. If you're not up to that level quite yet, that's okay. You don't want to fall too far behind, because it's much easier to level up at this portion of the game than it is later on in the game, because it requires much more experience points. I finally have left Death Mountain, and now there's this very long bridge here. There's a red spear moblin on this bridge, and there's also a blue spear moblin. Just get rid of them, defeat the louder as well. They shouldn't be too much of a problem. and just continue along. This next screen gives you a little bit more of a challenge because there's bubbles, plus there's one of these red Dairas, as if you haven't gotten enough of them yet. It's probably a good idea to use the shield spell. I didn't there. I'm paying the price for it, and I'm using the life spell. I would have saved magic if I only used the shield spell. Anyway, there's a secret right in that specific block location where I can get another Link doll, another free guy, pretty much. So you want to make sure to get that one. And now we want to head north. And there's a graveyard here. You want to avoid the graveyard pretty much at all costs right now because it has some rather... it could be annoying because the enemies are rather difficult inside the graveyard. Here I ran into a sand sequence of enemies. And these are just Geldarms, which at a level 4 sword, they only take 2 hits to kill. So now that we have the hammer, we can break through that block. And now we want to head back to the west. There's a few Megmats jumping around in this area of the... I suppose we're in the forest or in the grass area. There's a lone area where there is a forest thing. You can sort of tell something's up about it. It's so isolated. Just get the ferry there, and now you can leave and continue along. There's a bunch of enemies in this scene here. There's these dealers that fall that are hanging from the trees, and we fought several of these before in both the red and the blue variation, so they shouldn't be too difficult. Just all these enemies once on one screen. This is a rather intense cutscene. They're rather difficult. We want to head back west. If you recall, there was a block that we saw earlier, which we can, now that we have the hammer, we can now open up. And this will lead us to get a new item. Not really an item, sort of just an item that will eventually get us a new ability. So you want to make your way through the little marsh area here. These enemies are rather simple, I suppose, if it's just the easy variation. It's just Octoroks. And here we have the block, so use the hammer and enter the cave. There's a few of these rather annoying bogos, like skullfish things that just jump up from the lava and will land on the bridge. Sometimes it's like once you see one, if it's coming from straight ahead, you want to just basically duck right away because otherwise it might hit you. Just continue along to the right, and there's numerous Dairas here. So use your shield spell, it's highly suggested. I killed the first red Daira here, and I also used the life spell just because I know that there are numerous enemies coming up, so just want to be prepared, I suppose. I killed a second red Daira, and since my magic meter was rather low, I decided to upgrade, which now fills my magic meter too. So there's yet another Daira of the red variation here. This one's beating me up pretty badly too, but finally got rid of it and pick up what is known as the water of life, or just some sort of medicine. And it's going to be useful once we get to the next town, which we're heading to right now pretty much, and that is the harbor town of Middow. Basically, at the harbor town, there's a person that needs the water of life, or the medicine, whatever you want to call it. I believe it was referred to as the medicine or potion in the original Legend of Zelda was referred to as the water of life. So I think that's sort of just carried over from the Legend of Zelda to Adventure of Link. I guess they are not very original with some of the names. But as you can tell, these bogos just really beat me up in that screen. Don't worry about it, just continue pressing on. I ran into a little sequence in the swamp here with, well, a rather more difficult one. These are all enemies that we've taken care of before, so shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm really taking some damage though. It's okay. Our next destination is going to be at a town, so we'll be able to restore both our magic and our health. Get back on the path, and now we went ahead all the way to the east. We broke a block at this location before. Just continue along, and there is a town right on the harbor.